Hello, welcome to the weather update. It's 10 o'clock on March 12th, 2023. And yes, we are an hour ahead. So because of that, the weather update tends to be going to be a little bit later because we have to we have to wait for the models to come in, some of the models that I want to look at. But you can see the clouds rolled in pretty quick today, of course. We had a little bit of sun in the morning and then pretty much a veil of thickening clouds throughout the day. With the sun getting dimmed heavily by the afternoon. You can see over there, looking at our current conditions across the area right now. We have, you can see we've got we got a coastal flood advisory in effect, and all that winter weather, that's up to the north. I don't think we're going to see much of that. So let's go to the current temperatures out there. You can see it's around 40 degrees around outside right now, so we got 40 degrees. With dew point 33, southeast wind at islip right there, and that's part of the issue, obviously, that we have. Let's go look at our highs and lows for the day. I don't think nothing will be that remarkable today. Highs mid 40s, and the lows really close to normal for the day. Let's see what the lows were. Yep, close to normal. Lows around 30 degrees, upper 20s, so fairly close to average today, temperature-wise. See, well upstate it was colder, but if we look across the country, you will see that we actually have down south. Looks like we got some freeze watches because they'll be getting some colder air down there when that storm ramps up. So even some freeze warnings. So it's going to go below freezing in there. So that's where they got to issue that winter storm warnings. Well up to our north, surrounded by winter storm watches. Around those events, and then the Cape has a high wind watch as well. So yeah, this is going to be a pretty powerful storm that's going to get going here. Looking at California, of course, the insanity continues over there. I shared some videos yesterday of some of the severe thunderstorms they had there. Pretty crazy, billowing clouds, all that stuff. And it's just because it's warm, moist air that you're dealing with here. Dew points in the mid 50s here, temperatures in the 60s. Right from the, again, it's just the air mass not supposed to be in California, but yet it is. And obviously in the mountains, they've got to deal with the winter storm warnings that are continuing over there. Let's just take a look and show you how much precipitation that they've gotten, because there's been absolutely catastrophic flooding between that and the snowpack. So we're going to go 48 hours here on the precipitation. And you can see some of the areas. Well, it doesn't look all that bad, actually. 48 hours. Some areas it depends on where the thunderstorms hit. Where the thunderstorms hit, you got over 2 inches of rain. On top of that, even 3 inches, it looks like. But that could be liquid equivalent for the snow. So that's, let's go to 72 hours. Maybe we'll this is where the bigger numbers come in. So I had a feeling I was missing something here. So you can see, look along the coast here. We got 6+ inch amounts here along the coast, all the way from San Francisco, all the way in scattered areas here. So this is a lot of rain to see. This is like over a month's worth of rain. And then you have it on top of the snowpack in where they got snow, and that's causing some absolutely catastrophic flooding. So these are some pretty insane rain amounts for California there. So I figured I'd bring that up. Looking at the weather map here, and again, it's all because of this fire hose pattern that's been all winter long. So here's our next storm system here. This is the one we're going to have to watch where the rain will move in, obviously. Here we've got heavy rain, flash flooding possible in much of looks like northern California, according to this map. And also, I almost forgot, Storm Prediction Center actually has, yesterday too, they had it, marginal risk of severe weather, and marginal risk of severe weather in the Florida Panhandle as well. So, yeah, it's pretty nuts all across the country. Right now, looking at the radar here, this is our next storm getting ready. It doesn't look all that impressive right now. This is the primary right here, but once it redevelops off the coast, it will get heavier. And you can see still in California some thunderstorms around there as well. Oh yeah, look at that, Fresno again. Look at this south of Fresno. That looks like a pretty bad thunderstorm right there. So yeah, it could be a lot of lightning with that as well. So again, crazy what we're seeing, absolutely crazy. So you can see the rain over the mid-Atlantic there. Let's go to the MODIS and look at, this is the storm, again, that bombed out offshore. This thing almost looks like a freaking hurricane. I mean, it's nuts. Look at this thing. I mean, and look at how big it is, too, by the way. All right. So, and it's nuts. And we're going to have a storm like this a lot closer to us tomorrow night into Tuesday. So we're going to be dealing with some pretty strong winds as well out there. This is way, way, way out there. I wanted to actually go to the weather and hazard map and see if we can get some buoy reports here from the storm. Because, again, this is just pretty intense that's going on. Yeah, you can see, look at some of these 52 mile an hour wind gusts here. This off St. John's here. Getting some pretty strong winds here. Excuse me. 56, dew point 52, southwest wind at 36, gusting to 52. So this is some of the kind of conditions they're dealing with here in these areas. And the water temperature is 52, which is really warm for that area. So very alarming to see these conditions here that far north. And that's what's fueling these storms, these just crazy warm ocean temperatures that we have, which are absolutely nuts. And that's what's going to be fueling this storm that we're going to be dealing with tomorrow night. Let's, now that we've looked at all of that, I want to look at some more satellite images. Let's see if we can get another satellite imagery of that storm offshore, because the northern Atlantic. Yeah, let's do this. And we'll do GLM flash intensity, so we'll see the lightning as well. So it's right here at the bottom of your screen, the storm. Let's move this here to 96 as well. So, I mean, look at that thing. You can see that it's right here. Look at that. We gotta wait for it to load. It's got to load a lot of frames here. Just hold on a second. But I mean, look at this thing. I mean, just insane. Look at all the lightning. Look at how far north all that lightning is too. I mean, that's like as far north as Nova Scotia. I mean, insane to see all those thunderstorms like that. And that's going to be making its way possibly to Europe or wherever. It's pretty nuts, really, when you think about it. And then we'll go to the west coast. Actually, we'll go to the CONUS view. So you can look at the CONUS view and see that the lightning that's going on. Look at all the lightning in the south, and then also off the west coast. If we move this over here, Pacific coast. Looks like it's mostly in the Pacific Southwest. We'll do Pacific Southwest. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. There's some pretty intense thunderstorms going on right now around California. This is nuts. I wonder if that's a severe thunderstorm there. I didn't see any warnings on the weather and hazards. Let's go over there. I don't see any warnings for that cell. Yeah, there's one severe thunderstorm warning right here that's being issued. So we have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for northeastern Kings, west central Tulare, and central Fresno counties. Pretty crazy. Look, again, 65 degrees, where the dew point is 53. That's some pretty warm, humid air right there. Flash flood warnings in a well. It's horrible what's going on out there. It absolutely is. Just unbelievable what's happening. So, yeah, we're going to go to the lightning chart as well, just to show you. This is very unusual. You don't have severe weather. I mean, yeah, the south, this isn't that unusual. Just as you get into March, this looks like a pretty bad thunderstorm around New Orleans. But California, it's really unusual to see lots of lightning here. Not really showing up too much of the lightning detector. It seems like it's showing up more on the other side. It's possible that it doesn't work as well out west, the lightning detector, because of the mountains, perhaps. So let's go now to the models. We have the GFS before us, the 18Z GFS before us, and we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at this storm, obviously, that we're going to be dealing with. And I'm not going to go too much into the long range because there's so much short range to talk about in this weather update. So you see that storm there redevelops off looks like the North Carolina coast. The rain starts tomorrow, becomes heavy at times at night. This is the storm here, and tracks. Now, the models have different opinions on what's going to happen. So you can see we're dealing with the rain. It lets up Tuesday. This thing actually winds up, looks like it's heading right for Nova Scotia, and then it pulls back west again. This is the unusual loop-to-loop pattern. And you can see where those heavy snows are. They're way to the north and the east of us. Somebody's going to get clobbered by this storm, but I just don't think it's going to be us. It looks like perhaps New England, again, coastal New England, somewhere in New England is going to get pounded by this. And it's going to be a heavy, wet snow. It's going to be damaging, especially with the winds. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of power outages as well there, and some scattered power outages here as well. And you can see light precipitation comes back Tuesday night to Wednesday. Then this thing finally pulls away, and we get better weather building in, though very windy with probably clouds Wednesday, maybe more sun Thursday. But you can see we got a nice high pressure building in, and then Beyond that, we got another chance for rain on Saturday, and then it looks like after that we finally have a nice dry period where we don't have to deal with all these storms. But I'm not going to get too much into that in this weather update. We've got to deal with this big storm here. So I'm going to go a little closer here and look at this again on the GFS. So you can see what it does. The heavy snows are mainly over. Looks like I said, the Cape could get hammered. And again, this right now, this is what the GFS is doing with this storm. All right, but every model is different, of course. And if we go to the Icon model, which is the 18th, the Icon, it looks a little different. You can see the heavy rain, but it seems like it takes the low further west, a little bit further west than the GFS does. All right, but I still don't think it's going to be enough to give us any decent sizable snows. It's mainly going to be up to the north and west. This isn't really cold air. The Icon, unfortunately, has the rain lingering into Tuesday, and then finally maybe pulls it out Tuesday night. But we're going to have a long period of rain because, again, the storm. It's not normal to have a storm do loop-to-loop. It should be moving through and continue in the northeasterly direction. But it's going to do this weird loop-to-loop. All right, and I'll explain to you why a little later in the video. Let's now go to all right, so if we look at the Icon and we just look at total snowfall here, you'll see we're not going to see much of anything here, but it's way in the mountains upstate. In the interior New England, I think, because even at the coast, I think the temperature is going to be too borderline. But you're going to get pounded up there with over a foot of snow. So the mountains are going to get pounded, but I just don't see anything major at the coast. If we go to the GFS, it's going to be the same deal. Here's the GFS. It's going to be the same deal, and the GFS is even more gung-ho on these perhaps 1 to 2 feet of snow in some of these mountains. It's going to be absolutely pounded. After they're not hardly getting any snow all winter in these mountains here in New England, they're going to get pounded with a lot of snow. It's going to be heavy, wet snow. It's going to cause damaging. And then as we go further along, you can see the GFS does wind up giving areas like Boston stuff perhaps up to a foot of snow. But we have to look at the temperatures there and see whether that's going to actually hold up or not. The other thing, of course, is the rainfall. Total rainfall. You can see we're going to see between 1 and 2 inches of liquid equivalent in our area, and then even heavier stuff to the north, probably over 2 inches, as some of that's going to fall. Snow, obviously. Looking at the Icon model, this is the Icon, and the Icon gets that 2-inch mark. And so, like I said, I think there's parts along there we'll see 2 inches of precipitation from this. All right. And I know the storm hasn't even formed yet. That's the thing. Let's go now to the NAM model. We'll do the 12-kilometer NAM. All right. Because we have the 0Z model of it in, and rather like to look at the 0Z if we can. Because again, you got to remember the model's coming in later because of the daylight saving. So tomorrow, NAM's not really all that impressive on the rain tomorrow. It doesn't really get it going until the evening, and then it starts becoming heavy. And this is as far as we've got so far on this model. You can see it's the low is further west on the NAM, and therefore it takes the snow closer to us. And that's as much as we got on the 0Z NAM run of the 12-kilometer NAM. If I want to go a little further on the NAM, we'll have to use an earlier run. All right, so you can see this is the NAM, and it seems like it's definitely bringing the heavier rain in toward the evening. Here's this low. It really bombs out, and then as it bombs out Tuesday, the problem is this is during the day. It has some snow over us, perhaps even some moderate snows over us, but with the sun angle and the temperatures, I just don't see it accumulating very much. You have to go where it's really coming down heavy, right in this area to the north and the west of the center here. Right in that area there is where you're going to get your heavier snows. All right, you can see this thing is just taking its time pulling out. It finally starts pulling out by Wednesday. The other thing, of course, is the wind. You see how close those isobars are. So let's see what the NAM is saying as far as total snowfall. So this is the total snowfall map on the NAM, and you can see it's a coating to maybe out east. There might be one isolated area where there might be a few inches. That's what the NAM is saying. You can see it's going to have heavy pockets upstate where they're going to get 1 to 2 feet of snow, perhaps even at the coast. This could be a situation where the Cape itself barely sees anything, but if you go inland just a little bit, you could be dealing with a foot of snow, perhaps. It all depends on the temperatures and everything. So let's now go to the HRRR model, which we should have the 0Z model. And yeah, we'll cut right to the chase and look at the snowfall on the HRRR. And you can see here, here's your total snowfall And you can see it's all upstate again. This is as far as we got, but again, it's mostly all upstate, inland. Nothing, not really much of anything at the coast. It's going to be all about that liquid equivalent, total accumulated precip. Again, close to 2 inches of liquid equivalent, mostly rain in our area. It's going to be one hell of a soaker for us for sure. So let's now go to the back to the actual total, the visualization here. So here we go, looking at it again. The rain's going to get started around sunrise tomorrow, a little bit before. We have mainly light rain, but then according to the NAM, the heavier rain moves in a little earlier, moves in a little more like 5, 6 o'clock. It's going to be, like I said, a soaker, heavy rain. And then this lifts up to the north. Here we go again. And it goes, this one takes it over the Cape, and then takes it westward. And then actually the HRRR is even further west, bringing the center over the center over eastern Long Island again, and keeping us in light mixed precipitation, but that it won't really accumulate very much. But that's as far as we got on the NAM. And if we look at the total accumulated precip here, I think we already did. Yeah, we already did. You see the amount of rain we've got, and I want to look at that on the NAM though. So let's go to the NAM 12. Let's to the 18Z here, because I did look at the NAM, but I think we have the NAM's not quite as heavy, but I think we're going to see. It's very hard to visualize exactly where the heavier precip's going to be until this thing actually forms. And once it forms, we'll have a good idea. But the problem, of course, is the temperature. So let me go back to the HRRR here. We'll look at the dew points and wind flow, and we'll show you what the issue is and why. I just don't see us getting much snow accumulation because of this. All right, so you can see the southeast to east winds. East winds there. You see the dew points are well above freezing there as we get to Tuesday. We have to. The issue is you need those dew points below freezing if you want the snow to really cool the column down so it can stick. But as you see, we have the snow here. The area that would support snow would be to the west. So let's say I got a glass of water. I do apologize for that. I had to get some water. I always see this what happens, like allergies and just. Well, anyway, so you can see the dew points are above freezing here, and that's the issue. You can see the very strong winds we're going to have in the loop-to-loop that the HRRR gives on this low here. All right, but you can see the dew points are above freezing. This is going to also be an issue for coastal New England, even though it's showing all these big snow numbers there. So actual air temperatures, all right, tonight we're not dropping much. Tomorrow will be around the 40-degree mark. And then you'll see those air temperatures drop as we get toward Tuesday morning into the 30s, but not below freezing. In fact, most areas are not below freezing except well inland in the mountains. So that's why I think this is going to be an inland type of event, and the coast isn't going to see much. All right. We'll go to a few more miles. Let's go to the GFS now. 18Z run. Of the GFS, it'll probably be the same story, although the track will be different. Obviously, the GFS is much further east with the storm. You can see dew points above freezing here, east winds. And again, you'll see Tuesday, though, the dew points try to go below freezing in New York City. So maybe New York City might get that 0.8 inch that they need to not have this be the least snowiest winter on record, perhaps. But you can see the dew points again above freezing in a lot of areas. There's just not a lot of cold air until we get toward later. And here we are later Tuesday night, and you can see the storm does the loop, and then we start seeing those dew points drop. And maybe that's on the tail end, would maybe see a little bit of snow, but I think the best chance would be, again, in those mountain areas, because as the storm is pulling away, it's taking its moisture with it as well. All right. These, again, are the dew points. Let's look at the actual temperatures here. So temperatures, you can see here, again, the GFS a little warmer tomorrow, getting us into the mid-40s, and then dropping temperatures. You can see they stay above freezing for the most part, and significantly above freezing in a lot of areas. Even Wednesday night, you could see here that it finally starts to go below freezing as the storm. You can see the reflection of the storm right there as it pulls away. And then we get into Wednesday. We're already seeing temperatures start to rise over Jersey. GFS wants to already get it near 50 in the southern half of New Jersey. And then as we get toward Thursday, obviously, already warming up to around in the low 50s, probably New Jersey, and up 45 to 50. So you can see there isn't really much cold air to work with. This is the problem we have. and that's what makes it hard to get snow. If we take a sounding here, here's a sounding on the GFS. You can see here that it's really hard to get snow with numbers like this. Very hard. Especially because you have, again, this is daylight, so you're going to have the sun, the sun angle that's going to do this as well. That's going to make it hard. So let's go back to the HRRR model now. All right. 0Z HRRR, and we'll go ahead and we'll look at these soundings again. Let's do Tuesday. Let's see what we got here, sounding. All right. And you can see it's really to the right of that 0 mark until you get high, and that's the problem. It's going to really be hard to get snow. It could be one of those situations where you could be at the top of a hill on the North Shore and see snow, and then if you're down on the sea level, you'll see rain, Or if you're in Manhattan, you might see it raining. If you're at the street, then you go to the top of like the Empire State Building and it's snowing. I mean that could be what's going to be happening on Tuesday. That's just how it is. But you can see again, these temperatures are just not great for an accumulating snow. It's really hard to get an accumulating snow with such. This isn't polar air. I mean, it's going to be hard to do it with this kind of air mass. Of course, we haven't looked at the European model, so let's go ahead and look at the European model here. And again, this is the European. We don't have the precip type available on this European model here. But you can see here's the low. We'll see the track. The Euro is actually agreeing more with the GFS a little bit now. All right, and taking this, look at the Euro. It just loops it and then just slowly takes it, out. But again, we'll do that sounding again with the European. Let's do a 15Z here. And you can see there's not even any precipitation over us. It's got kind of a dry slot there. All right, and again, the heavier precipitation. Let's put it right here. And let's see the sounding. 45 degrees. It's not going to snow at 45 degrees. So the Euro is even warmer. I mean, there's just no cold air here. That's why I think this is going to be an interior snow event. At the coast, I just don't see it anywhere, actually, after looking at these models. Even on the Cape in Boston, I just don't see it because of these temperatures. Just don't see it. I really don't. I'm not going to draw up a snowfall map because I don't think there's going to be any snowfall on Long Island. Let's go to the FGen. Now we'll look at the FGens. That's the other thing that we have to look at here is FGen. All right, you can see is the good FGen is way to the north. It's not in the right spot to give us anything. This is the Europeans FGen. If you look at the GFS's FGen, and again, it's just not in the right spot. Look, it's off to the north and the east. The storm is in the wrong spot. And again, you have marginal cold air, and the storm is in the wrong spot. So you have a bunch of things working against snowfall in this storm. Let's go to the NAM 12, which we now have more of. And you can see, look at that FGen. Really impressive along the coast north of Boston. But for us, I mean, there is nothing really here that's impressing me. Nothing at all. So I think we've pretty much dismissed the snow. We know it's going to be a soaker. Now let's talk about the winds, because we're going to have to deal with a lot of wind as well. And we got the NAM up here, so let's go to the wind. The winds here, all right? And we'll look at the winds, and you'll see the winds begin to pick up. Here, look at the winds around the center of this thing. I mean, to the north and the east especially. There'll be some very strong winds at the coast. I definitely see a high wind warning for the New England coast. As for us, it doesn't seem like the winds are all that bad on this model here, being on the left side of the storm versus the north side of the storm. It doesn't look all that bad. Let's go to the GFS. I know it's not as deep, though, so let's go to the GFS with the wind. And the GFS is deeper with this thing, and it gives even more wind. Look at how low that thing gets. Yeah, we'll have to look and see if there's lightning with this thing, too, as well. I mean, look at this thing. Wednesday morning, I mean, this thing's just a monster. And it is kicking up the winds here a little bit. But like I said, the worst of the winds seem to be out over the water. They don't seem to be over here. But we're going to use something else to visualize it. I think this model sometimes underdoes it a little. It doesn't really want to show what's going on over the land. And we'll have to look at some other models like windy.com and things like that. So once this thing is done, we'll go and we'll just look at the sky obviously, we're going to have clouds for Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll try to get rid of the clouds. Right now, it looks like Thursday might be a day we might have, but then we have the clouds coming from the next system. So this is the problem we have, because then we go and we look at the jet stream. So let's go ahead and look at that. Look at that jet stream. Let me see what the issue is here. So well, let's move this back. So you can see it's this zonal jet stream. So here's the storm right here. See right there, the trough that it's creating. You can see it's got a little bit of the loop is from like getting cut off, and it's a little bit from that block. And then you can see, here we go again, another ridge coming in for ahead of the next. There's another big ridge right there, and then you can see the trough kind of just, like I said, I'm not really going into the long range here. I'm just explaining to you why we just can't get a clear day. We have to wait until next week, hopefully, to get out of this crap that we're dealing with. And you can see there's the Pacific fire hose there that's going into California, and you can see that's going to keep flowing until we get toward next week, when it seems like it weakens a little bit. Upper air. All right, upper air. You see there's that big storm out in the Olympus. This is our second storm here. You can see it kind of hits that little loop-to-loop thing there. It does. And then you can see that ridge, and then a deeper trough. But again, no, if you want any really cold air, you're out of luck. You're out of luck. You have to wait for next winter. It's over as far as getting any cold air. Sorry, the Arctic and the polar regions are closed. So let's again, this is going to be more of a long range thing, and I don't really want to get into in this weather update, because we want to talk more about this storm that we're going to be dealing with. So let's go back to this, and we'll look at a few more parameters here. And I think the next thing we'll do is, I think we have the FV3. Do we have the FV3, which is a high resolution GFS model? We sure do. All right, so we have the 0Z run of that in now. All right, that's why I'm waiting a little later to do this weather update, so I can get as many models as I can. You can see brings in the heavier rain. Like I said, around the evening, it gets heavy, and then you can see it really starts pouring. Here's your center of low pressure system way offshore there, and you can see the snows in the interior that are going to happen. And then you can see it kind of just take this weird loop-to-loop back. Now we have snow over us. It's Tuesday night into Wednesday that we have the best chance of seeing anything, perhaps. Once the sun is down, perhaps. This is, again, the GFS. You can see it's slower, and it just does this really a long loop-to-loop here that it does here. It's pretty crazy. Let's see what this has as far as total snowfall. Let's see if this... Nope, it doesn't give us anything because it's too warm. That's the problem. Again, if we look at the actual temperatures, it looks like we don't have any cold air. That's the problem. We're above freezing. Oh, wait, this only goes out that far. Oh, we're not getting it as much. All right. Yeah, I see what's going on. We're not getting that other part in yet. So this is the 0Z run. It's not gonna be enough of that in. All right, well, we can actually look at this and actually deduct here from our temperatures. So at night, let's see, 0-1Z. Let's see what our temperature is at the surface on this particular run of the model. 36. That's still above freezing. So you got to be below freezing if you want this snow to stick. And you know, it's very hard to predict because of what the storm is doing. You can see you almost got like a Fujiwara effect here. You have almost one low here, and then another one that's kind of flinging it back. That's really weird to see, but you know, we're going to see more and more of this weird stuff going on. But again, you can see the rain. So unfortunately, yeah, if I go to the total, it doesn't have all of that out. Or this is the total accumulated precip, 59 hours. You can see close to 2 inches. But for as total snowfall, yeah, it goes out up to 11Z Wednesday, so it's not showing anything. Yeah, it's just not showing anything, even though it shows the blue over us. It's really complicated because, you know, it's just one of those things where it's going to snow, and you might have rain and snow at the same time, but it's just not going to stick to anything because of the temperatures. It's really, really complicated. So let's move away from tropical tidbits now, and we'll go to the windy.com, which also lets us visualize the European. There's this huge monster storm out in there. I mean, this thing is just crazy, this storm out here. But anyway, That storm is out of the picture. We got another storm to worry about. Let's go to the windy.com. So again, this is the European model, so we can visualize the winds tomorrow here. We'll just going with winds, not wind gusts. So sustained winds, and you see they're going to pick up as we head into tomorrow night. Sustained winds at 15 miles an hour. But the worst of it, you can see it's going to be over New England. And then as the storm really takes shape Tuesday, as it moves here, you'll see some of those really strong winds. But you can see it seems like it keeps the worst of those winds away. Again, these are sustained winds. You can see offshore, they're going to be pretty strong, west of 39. For some reason, you go over the land, they're not too bad. But when I put the gusts in, I have a feeling this is going to change. And then you can see, again, we're mainly on the westerly component, which is gonna, when the strongest winds hit, they're going to be from the west, which generally means coastal flooding shouldn't be an issue, but on the North Shore it could be, because again, it's going to push the water in. You can see, let's move this over to wind gusts, because this is where things will get a little more interesting. So let's go to wind gusts here. We'll start off at 10 o'clock tomorrow night. Nothing too terrible, but as we go to 3 a.m., you'll see the wind gusts beginning to pick up. 8 a.m., we'll have wind gusts up to 32. All right, there's nothing terrible still. It's mainly from the west, and I think that's why, as long as that center stays to our east, you can see the worst of wind gusts here, 36. That's not too bad. It has worse wind over New Jersey, gusting close to 50. So it could be gusts close to 50. I think we're going to need a wind advisory here, probably. And then this is the center of it right here. Look around the north. I mean, that 84-mile-an-hour wind gust just off to the center of it. And if you're on the Cape, you could come close to that. It's got like a whole like patchy, weird layout here with the winds here. It's kind of weird. The winds are worse to the south than they are to the north. But again, it's because of the wind coming in off the land versus the northeasterly direction. It's coming more from the northerly direction. And so, yeah, you can see a gust of 51 in New Jersey, 42 here, and then still dealing with some pretty strong winds. And then finally it gets on out of here. But look at this. Here we go. It gets on out of here. No, it's still actually over here. And look at what it's doing here. So this looks like a hurricane almost. It's got an eye. You can see the wind gusts here around the 77-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So, yeah, the Cape could be dealing with some pretty bad wind gusts. This is pretty substantial, actually. And then as we get into Wednesday morning, you can see it moves due south, so it just keeps lashing New England. And then as far as Wednesday goes, it's going to be windy over our area. We could still have wind. We're still going to have wind issues for Wednesday. The storm is still here. This is the European. And you can see here, it's just taking its sweet time, finally moving away by Thursday. It's just really slow. That's one thing I think the Euro was right on, include on, is the slow movement of this thing. So look at the waves next, all right? So this is the waves, and yeah, the ocean, this is why they have it. So even though we're going to have that north wind, you're going to have swells, 13-foot waves here. Luckily, the wind is from the inland direction, so that's why I think it'll save the coast from being too flooded. But, man, if you're in New England, man, you're going to be dealing with some pretty bad waves at 20 feet possibly. So this is going to be, and it's a long duration event, so it's going to last for a while, and that's the issue. And, I think the power outage potential is going to be the worst in New England, but we may still have some scattered outages here, especially in the middle of the island, because we already know how bad the infrastructure is here, the power infrastructure. 16 foot here too. As you can still see the waves just really continuing to be an issue. So let's go to the snowfall, the total snowfall. All right, this will give us the 3-day snowfall now. This is what the Euro was thinking. And it does give 2.6 over Nassau and 1.2 over Suffolk County. And this may be overdone already. The heavier amounts are going to be up the Cape. The Cape wants to give 8. Again, it's going to be hard to get snow to really, stick along the coast because of these temperatures. So these numbers probably be overdone. But for the mountains, I don't think they're going to be overdone. Look at this, 31 inches. Said somebody's going to get clobbered. Albany could get clobbered. They're going to get clobbered. Somebody's going to get clobbered, but I just think it's going to be inland. But they could get like a season's worth of snow in this one storm. And it's going to be a wet ride. It could really cause a lot of power outages and a lot of problems. If we look at rain accumulation, the total liquid accumulation here, which is the liquid equivalent here, the European is saying close to 2 inches on Long Island. But then you can go to some of these mountain areas, 3 inches of precipitation. So this is going to be, we're going to get a little taste of what California has been dealing with, I think, tomorrow night into Tuesday, with the snow, heavy snows in the mountains and rains at the coast, that kind of deal, thunderstorms. I don't think we'll see any of that. But, I just figured I'd click it for the heck of it. Clouds, well, let's see. We'll put the cloud thing on just to show you, see if this thing actually shows an eye or not. It doesn't really show an eye, but you can see Wednesday we'll still be dealing with clouds, I think. And then it finally slowly moves away. So yeah, we won't see the sun, and then Thursday, boom, the cirrus moves in. So yeah, we're gonna have to wait until next week to get the sun probably out to have a sunny day. It's absolutely pathetic. Probably. We'll see. Every model has its own opinion on what's going to happen. So this is what the European has. Let's go to Ventus Sky, which will be our next site to look at. All right, this uses the HRRR, and we will, again, use this for the wind. Just going to go right to the wind gusts already because let's just do that. All right, so go move this over to Tuesday. So you can see here what's going to happen. All right, so we'll go right to the wind gust, and you can see this is the HRRR, which is going to be different now. Remember, every model is different. I like this because it shows the actual low here. It says 29.3. It's already pretty deep, and it's going to only get deeper as it moves to the north. So you can see not too much wind for Long Island, but things get bad when we get into Tuesday because now we're starting to see those wind gusts up 50 plus mile an hour. That's where the high wind warning will be needed. For us, I think a wind advisory will do. See, almost like there's a boundary right here. And this is where you're going to get your precipitation on this boundary, but it's to our east. And then look what happens as we get into, this is going to be devastating for the Cape. 72. There's going to be a lot of power outages. Boston, 59. And then further on into Tuesday, look at what's going on. This is the HRRR. Look at this. Boston could be dealing with hurricane force wind gusts. So this is going to be very bad for New England. Very bad for New England. 29.1 as far as the minimum pressure on this. Let's move this along until 3 o'clock because now you can see there's your center of low pressure, center right there in the Gulf of Maine. You see really bad between the heavy wet snow and the wind. There's going to be a lot of power outages in New England. Lots. I think you'll definitely see you'll just see states with possibly half the people without power over there. And as far as it's interesting that it's got this low over here, and then somehow it's got higher winds over New Jersey. I don't know why it's doing that. That's weird. That's just weird. I've never seen that before. Moving into 5 o'clock Tuesday, you can still see the low sitting there. Again, there's that heavier wind there. It's just sitting there, and it's lashing the wind. That's the issue. They're going to be dealing with these winds for a very long time. And then finally, it looks like Tuesday night, we start getting into the strong winds. And we may need a wind advisory Tuesday night. You could see some strong wind gusts up to 54 miles an hour. Storm is still here. It's down to 28.9, just east of Boston on this model here. So it's really incredible to see the storm just sit here. And then here we are at 11 o'clock. And this just switched over to the Icon model. All right, 11 o'clock Tuesday. It's still lashing. And we're still dealing with the winds a little bit. And it's a little different because it's a different model. But you can see 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. The Cape is going to the Cape is going to really be devastated by this with the power outage situation and the flooding. This is going to be very bad for the Cape. It's going to almost be like a hurricane, really. And here we are, 1 a.m. It's still here. Still here off the Cape. 8 o'clock. Here we are, 8 o'clock Wednesday. It's finally starting to pull east. This thing is very deep. And you can see the winds are starting to... Will still be breezy, but we're not going to have the damaging winds, except maybe right along the Cape. And then here we are dealing with some pretty windy conditions. Again, windy conditions and blustery conditions on Wednesday. You can see here, all right? And if we look at the temperatures here, you'll see it's going to be chilly. Wednesday is going to be chilly. Clouds, I'll put this on the screen. It does try to show some breaks in the clouds over New Jersey, perhaps. That's the Icon. This far out, it can be pretty unreliable. And that's just the Icon. If I switch to the GFS here, it's going to show it a little differently. It'll be a little more. Resolution's a little lower here. That's the Icon. We'll put it back to the Icon. We usually have it on automatic. We usually have it on that, so it automatically selects the model. Obviously, Tuesday we'll have the clouds around. I'll see if it develops an eye, but it really doesn't. All right, so let's go. I think this does this show snowfall? It does not show snowfall, but we can go and look at the precipitation accumulation for this whole storm. All right, it's going to do a 3-hour precipitation. So this is a 3-hour precipitation. All right, showing this as snow. So here's your snowfall right there. All right. All right, there's your snowfall accumulation. All right, for those 3 hours, and that. Let's just change this from 3:12 2 p.m. Yeah, let's do it this way. So this is the HRRR, and this is just rainfall, all right, that it's showing here now, I think. So this is just showing the liquid equivalent that we would get here. All right, so again, you can see the heavy amounts of precipitation. A lot of this is going to be as snow. Like I said, this is going to be a devastating storm. Looking at these models scares me even more, to be honest with you. But we're getting a taste of what California has been dealing with. We're going to be getting a taste of that. It's going to be recreated off our coast. But again, as far as snow here, I don't think the snow is going to be the big thing. I think it's going to be heavy rain, wind, coastal flooding, and like I said, the worst of it's going to be in the New England area. Coast is going to be devastated by high winds, storm surge flooding, power outages, heavy rain. And then you go inland, at the higher elevations, you're going to have a heavy wet snow that's going to cause a lot of power outages as well. So it's going to be devastating all around. And I think I wouldn't to say I think 1 million people might lose power from the storm might be a little conservative for the as far as the whole Northeast goes. So this is going to be really bad. So I'll keep tracking it for you. We'll have more to talk about tomorrow, obviously. I'm really concerned about these winds that are being shown on these models because you have a very, very deep storm that's developing here, a very deep storm indeed. And again, it's got plenty of energy to work with those warm waters offshore for this thing to really explode and almost be like a hurricane or have some type of hurricane. They should really send the hurricane hunters to this they've been sending them to the western storms. They need to send them to the east as well because the storm is going to be bad. Let's just go to the Weather Service here and go to their briefing before I wrap this up here. So winter storm watch is expanded to Rockland and northern Westchester. Potential increasing for accumulating snow on Tuesday City coast. I don't agree with that. Heavy snow, obviously, north and west. Heavy snow to rain. Heavy rain to snow. Rainfall of 1 to 2 inches an hour. Rain changes to snow. They think there'll be snow accumulation. I don't see it. Strong winds. This is an issue that we're going to have to deal with in the coastal areas. Easterly wind gusts 40 miles an hour Monday night, Tuesday a.m. And then the west-northwest winds. Though I think the west-northwest winds will be worse because the storm will be deeper. There's the coastal impacts here. Winter storm watch. Your snowfall forecast. They're playing conservative here. But I just don't see... everybody on TV is making a big deal about this with the snow, and I just don't think we're going to have... the snow load is going to be the issue for upstate, obviously. But for us, it's mainly going to be rain. I really think so. These temperatures just aren't really adding up. We look at these models. The temperatures are just not adding up. Let's move this back to Tuesday. We're in Tuesday right now. So let's go to look at the air. Oh, here, it's the temperature right here, 37. How are you going to get snow to stick at 37 degrees in the middle of a day with a high sun angle? That's the issue. And again, the F-jet is in the wrong spot as well. So you have somebody's going to get hammered. But and as far as snowfall goes, I just don't see it, man. I just don't see it. I'm not going to make a map because I don't think there's going to be any snowfall on Long Island. I just don't see it. Here we are, 38. Especially with that west wind there. Here's the storm. This is definitely the drier side of the storm as well, which is the other thing that we have. So I just think it's going to be mainly New England that's going to get into this. I just don't see. I don't see Long Island getting it. I just don't. We can go look at the snow cover map here This is, again, the snow cover map forecast. We can go to Wednesday here. We can go, let's see, Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. And you don't see any snow cover showing here. So I just don't see it. I think it's going to be up north that they're going to get pounded with the snow. The temperatures just don't have the right. If this was a polar air, this would be a historic blizzard. This would be an absolutely historic blizzard. But without the polar air and this Pacific air that we are in, it's just not going to happen for the coast. So don't sweat the snow. I'd worry more about the heavy rain, the flooding, and the strong winds. I think that's going to be the main impacts for the storm for us. All right, on Long Island. So that's going to be it for this weather update. Thank you for watching, and it's going to be a busy next 48 hours for sure.